did mention that it is still in its beta form, but we do know some things about it. We know that Carl Kiesler laid it out.
Mhm.
He's an amazing layout guy.
Mhm.
Art by the Sigil team. You get to there's gear like ghost traps and motion trackers, weapons like silver cold iron and ultraviolet light, which are immediately puts me in the mindset of the Underworld movies where you have a ultraviolet light taped to your shotgun. Uh, Lodge rules, so you can make a headquarters for your monster hunters. And there's new setting rules and new special abilities for the monsters and whatnot. Those are things that we know from the product description page. Okay.
Okay. So how different is this from the old Poor Companion?
Big changes.
Good.
I would say this is an improvement on the Horror Companion, which the Horror Companion was not bad, like the old one, but this is even better. Look at that cover image just for one. I think that's great. But some of the hindrances are pretty great. You have one called Bullet Magnet, which I really like.
That's a substantial hindrance.
You're hit by accidental fire on a 1 to 2 for a single shot weapon or a 1 to 3 for shotgun or full auto, which is pretty great. I like also Heavy Sleeper, Night Terrors, Unnatural Appetite. Bill can already think of about 4 different ways that could work.
Yeah, you sure can.
Reduces your persuasion by -2 when people see or know of your strange eating habits. There's also some new edges. Some of these are great. I like Gallows Humor a lot. You can use your taunt skill instead of spirit when making a fear check.
Oh, that's
right?
Actually clever. Yeah.
Oh, I really dig that. There's more too. I'm not going to quote all the rules because it's not done yet. I mean, this is all beta, so anything that we talk about here could change. Just to be clear. There's also an edge called Final Girl or Final Guy. It's a social edge, and once during any combat encounter and during a game, you can spend a Benny if you're the final girl or final guy, and you get a stack of 5 inspiration tokens, which are kind of like mini bennies that you can then hand out to your team, which is really neat. There's one called Scream Queen or Scream King, which whatever you roll on the fear effects, you re-roll the first result. You've already seen it. The big one is probably all the monster characters you can play. The monster characters in this are a little bit stronger than your typical races. They're, according to this, 15 points of powers from the Superpowers Companion equivalent. If you want to make something like that, they have some new monstrous edges like aggravated damage, which can hurt any other supernatural creature regardless of its invulnerabilities or weaknesses. And you don't regenerate those wounds very quickly, which is nice. Reminds me of old White Wolf, actually, right there.
Yeah, the silver against werewolves.
Right.
Yeah, I remember playing Werewolf back in the late '90s. And glaives or silver. You always wanted for that.
You got angels, demons, mummies, patchwork monsters. You got phantoms. They actually have a species in here that is fully intangible when it wants to be, which is really cool. Yeah, coming from Accursed, where we had a sort of semi-intangible character with the shade, this is really interesting. They have one called the Revenant, which, I mean, if that's not a callback to Accursed, I'd be surprised, but it's possible. And they have a vampire and a werewolf.
Do we have gremlins?
No, but you could build your own.
How about chuds?
Nope, you can build your own.
Chuds.
Okay. Alligators?
Do they have
alligators?
Psycho killer? Like
Psycho
the Michael
killer?
Myers?
Well, if you want one of those types of guys, I would say look forward to Accursed 2nd Edition because we got some stuff in there for that. But each of these comes with their own, of course, not only their own abilities, but their own edges as well. which is pretty great. Some of these are really neat. Like some of them may be a little strong. Like the Phantom can be intangible, and if they take the right edge, they can also be invisible while they're intangible.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty good.
Can they affect the world when they're intangible?
Not while they're intangible, no.
Mm-hmm.
But still, pretty great. Visible and intangible at the same time. The mummies can summon swarms or a sandstorm, which is pretty cool. And there's a lot going on with these monster species. I dig them quite a bit.
Do we have possessed child playthings?
Again, you can make one. 15 points.
Evil puppets. Do we have
Yeah.
evil puppets?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
How about Psycho Killers, the unstoppable Michael Myers type?
No, not in there, but Accursed Second Edition has something similar, so there you go.
Yes.
Anyway, so do you guys
Rabid
like
Saint Bernards? Do we have Rabid Saint Bernards?
No.
Sorry, I'll stop now. Please go.
Do you guys like playing monsters? Obviously, I do. You know for a fact I love playing as a monster, but what do you guys think about it?
I've played more than one Creature Commando, kind of game, and I played a lot of Werewolf back in the '90s because that's what we were doing back in those days, all us cool kids. And ostensibly, if you were playing Werewolf, you were technically grappling with horror themes, and it always seemed to turn in more into fuzzy superheroes. But so I've definitely done that. No, how about you?
Yeah. I'm into monsters as well. I dig it.
Sweet.
Okay. Well, the next section is gear, and it's got some cool stuff that I like to talk about right off the bat, which is repeating crossbows, garlic bullets, silver nitrate bullets, ultraviolet bullets.
That's all from Underworld.
Right? Like that's just immediately where my mind went was that. Atomic Ghost Pack is a gear. Flare pistol.
Jesus
Wonder where they got that idea.
Yeah, flare pistol. I like you have a flare gun now and you can use it, which that's fantastic. The gear section is a little bit small, but it's fine. Like it's got plenty of good stuff in it, including a ghost trap and Curlian goggles. The next section it talks about your lodges, how you build your home, your lair, if you will, for your monsters, which includes one of my favorites. Is there's a menagerie, which is a zoo you can use to keep your strange or otherworldly creatures that you either can't kill or don't want to turn loose.
This is reminding me a little bit of the lodge from the Men of Letters in Supernatural. Maybe on purpose. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, Supernatural, I don't remember that bit, but I'm sure it's in there. It's like 17 seasons long.
Yeah, possibly more than there was an awful lot of Supernatural, especially when you consider it's supposed to end after 5 seasons. So yeah.
Correct. So Bill Keys, what is one thing you would have to have in your Monster Hunter Lodge?
In my Monster Lodge or my Monster Hunter Lodge? Two totally different things.
Pick one.
I would want some kind of defense, traps or something along those lines, so that while I was sleeping in my tomb at night, or during the day, I should say, monster hunters couldn't come and get me.
Okay, that makes sense.
I would also like a Renfield.
Yeah, a mascot, if you will. Yeah. One of the ones I like is that there's a graveyard, which the grim reminder of mortality adds +1 to all your vigor rolls. But it occasionally causes trouble when the dead rise.
Of course.
I was like, oh, I like that. I would like get my players to create tombstones for this thing. I would just be like, okay, everybody send me some epitaph on a tombstone. Here lies, Lester Moore, 4 bullets from a 44, no less, no more.
Nice.
Something like that would be kind of fun.
So it sounds like we have a diverse range of inspirations for this book.
Very much. And it's sizable. It's almost 200 pages long.
Okay. So what's the ETA on it getting out of beta and into a general release?
I don't know. That's a question only the Pinnacle guys can really answer. Although I believe it is, I would say I believe it's soon.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. But I can tell you that I'm excited about it. I like the look of the new edges, the new hindrances. I like the new setting rules. It's got a bestiary that is pretty big. It's got a lot of stuff that I think will be useful for guys like myself who like to run horror games. So,
let me ask a question. Does it have? Gosh, it sounds like Mike said. It sounds like it's drawing from a whole bunch of different sources. I mean, we already talked about Ghostbusters, Underworld, Supernatural. Is there like an overlying theme to it? Like, is there a specific type of campaign that they recommend, or do they have a section where they talk about how to run different types of campaigns in this?
yes, they do. So first of all, there's not a specific style. The companions are not built to show you anything other than the genre. Like, here's the genre, right? Something like Rippers is a very specific feel that would have that particular thing going on. That being said, there are stuff from the Cthulhu mythos in here. There is some scary tales is what they're called, and there is a section that talks about the tropes and of horror and how to apply that to Savage Worlds. So there's definitely game master advice on, how to make it your own. But it is not. I would say it is definitely not like aimed at a particular part of horror, more like the whole thing.
Is there a Babadook?
No.
I need a Babadook.
That's one of my wife's favorite movies.
That's one of the best horror movies I think I've seen in the last decade or so. So, all right. Well, I'm still in favor of this book, even with the lamentable absence of Babadook.
There's, like I said, it's got a bestiary with a lot of good stuff in it, including some monsters I've never heard of before. So there's that.
Do you have the PDF up? Can we take a look at it? Just scroll through it on the.
I would prefer not to until it's released. A Pinnacle might frown on us showing off a product that isn't ready yet. So
okay, fair enough. No worries.
But there is some stuff in there that's like the Black-Eyed Kids are in this book, which, as a fan of this particular urban legend, I'm so excited to see Black-Eyed Kids. I can't tell you. It's so cool. They're a creepypasta from back in the day that I just loved. Bill and I have talked about the Black-Eyed Kids. I think he wrote them up for one of our products, actually. So
for a different product, yeah.
Was it Secret World? Are they in the Secret World?
Yeah, it was for the Secret World.
Yeah, Secret. So the Black-Eyed Kids are now also in the Secret World. So hey, we got a connection there.
That's kind of cool.
Scott's gonna love it because there's a blob. My roommate Scott, who loves the old monster movies.
Oh, I used to love that movie too. How about Slender Man? Do we have a Slender Man next week?
No, but there is a guy kind of like a Deadlands dude called the Black Judge.
Okay.
Which is he's like a bad guy you summon to help you, but don't let him get out of control because he'll come after you.
Sounds like Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, that would be an interesting approach to Pumpkinhead. I hadn't thought of that. Actually, speaking of that, is there a particular film, a horror film, that you guys think would be a great way to, a great template for a Savage horror campaign?
So Fast, Furious, Fun. So, I'm tempted to say Troll Hunter, but that might be more mythic adventure, but it definitely has elements of horror in it.
No, I like that. That's good.
I mean, if we want to go hardcore straight horror, where most of the players, or most of the characters, not the players, most of the characters won't survive, you would go with like The Thing, or with Alien.
That's not, yeah. I mean, both of those have been turned into role playing games. So yeah, absolutely. I was going to say Necrotronic would be my selection, which is a quirky little horror film. If you haven't seen it, you should. But basically, imagine like synthwave, cyberpunky demon hunters, and it's campy but also scary. Because that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we will.
I was gonna say there's that Hansel and Gretel movie on Netflix.
Yes, yes, with Jeremy Renner.
With repeating crossbows, and they're fighting witches.
Hansel and Gretel would be excellent because you could pull all the Brothers Grimm stuff and make it even more horrific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that idea. Put me on board on that one.
What was that movie where European film? A bunch of Swedish kids go up in the mountains to have a weekend at the cabin, and there's frozen Nazi zombies come out of the ice and try to.
Dead Snow, I think.
Dead Snow? Yeah, Dead Snow.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I could see that being. I just like killing Nazis, so I think that would be fun.
I mean, undead Nazis are just as fun to kill. So yeah, or if you want something in the time, you go Overlord. But
Overlord is a great one.
I should point out that Savage Worlds does have Weird War 1 and Weird War 2, which both feature a lot of horror tropes in them. So go check those out for sure.
So yeah, that's the first one.
We couldn't use the. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking about Blair Witch, but I'm not sure that really would make a good RPG session.
I mean, it could with the right group.
Yeah, as long as everyone's on board with the general concept, which is no one's getting out alive.
Yeah.
You could really play into the found footage bits. That would be something, honestly, that is something that's missing from a lot of RPG stuff, is any kind of nods toward found footage type stuff. That would be, you know what? I have an idea now for a new edge and or hindrance for found footage for this particular product. I think that'd be kind of fun.
Interesting.
That could be. Yeah. I mean, that was hey, Nocturnal Frequency Radio is joining us. Good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
You mean people are actually listening to this show? Shit.
Hello.
we
I am in trouble.
We always have some kind of audience, Ross. I assure you. And it's not always just my mom. So.
Sorry, Mike's mom.
It's okay. She forgives you.
No, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, Nocturnal. That's great. Good to see you. I'm just making a joke.
I don't think that's my mom, but
I
if she has a podcast, it probably has a quilting theme name. But
Stitched together.
That's not bad, actually. Trying to think of other horror properties that might work. I've always wondered. I guess this would be in the exact same boat as Blair Witch, but as a haunted house story, such as Paranormal Activity, or there's a few others. But there again, it's a genre pretty far removed from what we do in Savage Worlds. Although we do have proton packs in the gear section, so
you could do a Ghostbusters campaign for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Savage Worlds is really flexible. I think, the Fast Furious Fun is definitely like the core of it, but it doesn't mean you can't have deep introspective. If you want to run a Jane Eyre or a, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies game, you could. Savage Worlds has a lot of social rules and stuff like that. Get Out would be a really interesting approach because there's a whole lot of social activity going on in that.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
I ran a Ghostbusters game using Savage Worlds some years ago that was very successful. I thought it went really well.
Are you afraid of ghosts?
No, because I know who to call.
Okay.
Do you guys know they're making another one right now?
Yeah, they are. It's coming out the end of the year, is what I heard. So
yeah, you've got Paul Rudd starring with the surviving original cast. So
that's neat.
Huh.
But
so is it going to be a sequel to the previous one with Bryn Wolfhard and
Afterlife?
That is my understanding. Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think people should go out and look at the Horror Companion, get ready for it because it's coming. And I think it's going to be a really good addition to your Savage Worlds bookshelf. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in adding it to your Savage Worlds collection?
Well,
No.
I love horror, as you know, so I'm definitely going to pick it up after it comes out.
Yeah, I definitely be. I haven't played in a horror game like, oh boy, it's been a long time. Although I have very recently done. There's a very simple black hack variation called "The Monsters Are Our Heroes," where basically you're playing creature commandos, and played a few sessions of that last year, and that was a lot of fun. So, I think this would support the kind of play because it seems like this is horror and horror adjacent stuff. Because Ghostbusters is really more buddy comedy than straight horror. So.
Well, yeah, Dead Snow. Thank you, Nocturnal Frequency. I was right. There is a subgenre called folk horror, which I believe there's a Savage World study called Holler that's out for that, and we should talk about that at some point in the future. But folk horror has a lot of great roots, especially for your local area. Like if you live in an area with a lot of legends and history, you could probably come up with some good local horror just for your little area. And that's about it. I'm basically done talking about the Savage Worlds Horror Companion. It's great. Good luck. I would love to get a copy when it's ready, and that's it.
Yeah, no, around Chicago, which was a few hundred miles away from where I grew up, but I heard some of these stories. There was a lady in gray. They would talk about if you're driving on country roads near Chicago. You guys probably heard this, right? The lady dressed up in a gray gown. She asks, she's hitchhiking. You pick her up, and then she disappears from the back of your back seat. As soon as you pass a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I think a lot of cities have that same legend. I've heard that story told in New Orleans myself.
Yeah.
There's even a movie called Butterfly Kisses that's about an urban legend. That's Bill and I have seen that one. And there's The Empty Man, which is a really, really good horror movie. That's not really urban legend, but it is, in a way, folk horror.
And it's very weird.
But awesome.
It was really good, but it was very weird.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well,
horror movies all day.
Have you guys seen any good ones recently?
Yes.
What have you seen?
Bill?
Oh gosh, so many.
Bill and I actually watch horror movies almost every Friday, so
almost every week, yeah. I actually have taken to making a list because I always forget what I've watched. Mm-hmm. So I've been like writing them down on a piece of paper because, like, I don't even remember what I've seen and what I haven't. So we saw Dale and Tucker versus Evil a couple weeks ago that I got. Ross hadn't seen it before, and I got to show him that, and he loved it.
It was excellent.
I can't believe, that's a classic.
Yeah. When he told me he hadn't seen it, I was like, "Oh, we're watching that tonight."
I'll go ahead and recommend The Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I'll recommend Malignant. I thought those were and Hereditary. Those are all really good.
Mm-hmm.
My wife makes me watch all the Fast and Furious movies. So every once in a while I say, no, you have to watch one of mine. And last time we watched Zombievers.
Zombievers.
Zombievers. Yep.
Yeah,
that's one I haven't seen yet.
Group of conventionally attractive college kids go out to a cabin for the weekend and they get attacked by zombies. But not to say zombies, zombie beavers.
Zombievers, yes.
And at the end, there's one of the last kids is stuck in the room in the cabin as his girlfriend's coming after him. She's been bitten by a zombie beaver. So as she's trying to batter the door down, she's getting long teeth and she's growing a tail. And it's ludicrous, but it's a fun kind of ludicrous. So,
horror is a big tent. There's a lot of different things that come in under that, and Savage Worlds can handle almost all of it. So there you go.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Fair enough. Well, hey, folks. I think we have mined this vein. Do we have any closing thoughts, Ross and Bill?
Go ahead, Bill.
Honestly, I recommend people watch a lot of different horror movies, a lot of different types of horror movies, because like Ross was saying, there's so many. It's such a big genre. It goes from comedy to psychological horror to introspective, to folk horror to bloody gore, all kinds of stuff to watch. And I think the more you see, the more ideas you'll get for your game.
Agreed. I would say my closing thoughts are: find your favorite horror movie and then find a way to turn that into a great, maybe a Halloween one shot is all you need. I did one where the player characters were all juvenile delinquents who were given community service, and they had to clean up the amusement park after it closed late at night, which is a great setup, right? Anyway, maybe you do it as a one shot. Maybe you don't go to a convention and run it, or maybe you and your group are like, hey, we would like to do something, scary. But yeah, just find a movie you really like and savage it.
For real.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Someone pointed out to me a few years back that just the usual tropes of dungeon crawling. You're going spelunking with weapons. It's not lit real well. You're in a single file line fighting God knows what that happens to be in the cave. If you just kind of look at it from that perspective, it can be a pretty scary situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I hadn't thought of it like that, but that's a good point.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for checking out Wildcards. Our next episode, we're going to have GM James on. We're still getting that scheduled. We'll announce that once it happens. But thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next time. There's an awkward moment before we're fully off